Hello, I'm Holly, and today I have another Open University studying video. Very exciting. My last one is incredibly popular, so if you've watched that one, hello. If you haven't, I will link that in the description. But today I'm talking about assignments, or more specifically TMAs, which are the Open University's tutor-marked assessments. Now, for me, these tend to be essays because I do a history module, and they will vary depending on what module you're doing. I think they usually make up about 50% or 40%, around that amount of your degree, and then you also have an examinable component, which is like an exam or like a really extended essay. But today we're talking about the TMAs. Now, this video will probably be most relevant to people studying a module like me, so like a humanities module. And also I'll note before we start that I filmed this over the past few months, so enjoy my Christmas decor and my Christmas clothing. But without further ado, I think that we should just get straight into it. So throughout my experience, I have had access to all of my assignments at the beginning of the year. And so what I do is at the beginning of the year, I have a very quick flick through of the assignments. Usually you will have multiple options, so there will be like 4 different questions or 2 different questions, whatever, that you can choose from. And then I get a little card. I have these little index cards, is that what they're called? And I will write down all of the questions, and the TMAs tend to have some kind of guidance alongside them, which will usually highlight certain chapters, certain units that are most useful for those. For example, there could be a question, it could say that chapter 1, 2 and 3 are the most useful, so I will also note that on my index card. And then I just blue tack them to the wall. They're right by where I study, so I can always look up at them throughout the module, and I know if I'm coming up to a chapter that could be relevant for a TMA. Step number 2 is when I get around to reading the chapter. So as I said, usually it will tell you what chapters are most important. So for example, if it was chapter 3 that I knew was the most important, as I'm going through that chapter normally, all the exercises, all the sources and stuff, I always have that assignment question in the back of my head. So as I'm going through them, as well as answering any questions that the textbook is asking me about that source specifically for that chapter, I will also be thinking about the overall assignment question that I want to answer, highlighting passages and quotes that I think are important. And then at the end of that week, I will download the PDF of the chapter itself and then go through that again, highlighting any passages or quotes that I think will be important. Step number 3 is where we come to any additional readings or independent research. So I'm doing this all the way up through like every week. Whenever I have a spare minute, I will read all the sources that they say to read. This year I've had a lot of like further readings that they've highlighted, and I've gone through them. And it's just like do a little bit each week as you're leading up to the assignment week. You do get specified weeks at the Open University that are dedicated to assignments, but I'm doing a lot of this research in the weeks before that. Whenever I have a spare moment, I'm always thinking about the next assignment. And then especially this year, I've been using the Open University's online library as well. So I've also been finding my own sources that I think will help me with my assignment. Then step number 4 is what I like to call evidence collection. And this is where I get all of those PDFs, all of those documents that I have highlighted and quoted and written notes on, and I put it into one Word document. So I'm copying and pasting all the quotes. I'm also keeping a track of all the references at this point. I find it a lot easier to compile my bibliography at this stage. So every time I open a new document or PDF, I will write my reference for that. And obviously everyone has their own referencing schemes. The Open University has a specific one, but I've been using the Cite Them Right referencing system. Now, this step is incredibly time consuming, and I don't think it's going to work for everyone, but this is just how it works for me. I usually end up with like 50 pages of quotes, and this is also the step where I start thinking about what points am I trying to make so that I can somehow order all my evidence rather than just having 50 pages of unordered quotes. So for example, in the assignment that I have recently done, one of the things I wanted to talk about was industrialization. So that was like a subheading in my evidence collection documents, and then anything to do with technology or modernization, I put all those quotes in that section. By the end of evidence collection, I have a ginormous document that is a lot of quotes and evidence, and that is how I build my argument. I use the evidence and then I build my points. Step number 5 is making my outline, making my plan. So I will go through my evidence collection, and usually I will just like briefly overview it and see which quotes I like, which ones I think are a bit redundant, and then cut them from the document. So I'm really like culling the document down, cutting it down to the quotes that I think are the most important, and basically I just keep cutting it down. This goes through several rounds until I have a plan. I'm very much a planner. I can't just go into an assignment just like winging it. I have to know exactly what each of my paragraphs is going to cover, what the sources I'm going to use, how I'm going to use those sources, for example, how I might challenge those sources. And then once that is done, it is time to write the TMA. So this is usually the TMA week. I usually save all of my TMA writing for that specific week that the Open University give you for each assignment. And I think sometimes it could be maybe 2 weeks depending on how long the assignment is, but that is where I will write it. And I will write a first draft, and my first draft will be rubbish. That's fine, because then the next step is it's time to do a second draft, then a third draft, maybe a fourth draft. Throughout doing this, I will continually refer back to any TMA guidance, making sure I'm hitting all the points that they specifically want you to hit. And then step 8 is where I've read it over so much that I despise every word, and I contemplate giving up my degree and going to farm goats in the mountains, and then it's time to submit. That's when I know that I have done it as much as you can. I think you can over-edit an essay, and at some point you just need to be like, that's it, I've just got to submit it. Even if I'm not 100% happy with it, I know that I have tried my best, and then it's time to submit. And that's it. I would love to know how you do your assignments, especially if you're at the Open University. Let me know if there are any other studying relating videos that you would like, maybe how to even structure an essay or something, because I know that I have done a lot of research into like essay structure, and if you're interested in that, I might do like an exam one, but I'm a little bit freaked out about my exams right now, so maybe not. But that's it for today's video. I hope that you've enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and to everyone out there, stay curious. Bye!